The Dynasty Madden League grind in 365.
Welcome into the DML Network and another episode of the Bye Week with your boy XPERT. And I got two of my favorite users on the show today. So glad to talk to these two gentlemen. They both in the NFC. They both 3-3. Both looking to make the playoffs. And they're both former playoff teams. First up, it's the owner of those New Orleans Saints. It's none other than Matty Ice. What's up, Matty Ice?
Hey, XPERT, what's going on, family?
What's going on, dude? You got to be hyped this week. Your Philadelphia Eagles played in the Super Bowl on Sunday. You got to be ready for that.
I'm anxious, man. I'm anxious. Let's bring it home.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Can't root for the Eagles as a Cowboy fan. But let's talk New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
All right, man. You came out the box. You had a good year last year. You make it to the NFC Championship. End up losing in the NFC Championship to the eventual Super Bowl winner, Cowboys. And then this year, you come out kind of rough. Started 3-3. Is this kind of a layover from last season, getting that far and not making it to the Super Bowl? Kind of drained you, took the wind out your sails?
In the Dynasty, you never know what's going to happen. You know, you're 13-3 1 minute, you're 3-3 next. So last year, man, that game, that NFC Championship, I wanted that win. I had a lot of injuries. I knew going into this year when we were doing the draft, I knew I had a tough schedule. Right now, I'm looking, one game at a time. I'm looking to win the division. I got the Bucks on. I see the Bucks competing this year, and man, 3-3. I feel like I could be a little bit better, but one game at a time, and I'm looking to get over 500.
Well, you talk about a tough schedule coming out. You had the Cowboys in the rematch from the NFC Championship, and that game didn't go your way. Just way too many mistakes on the offensive side of the football. Caught you in that first week, but then you come back and have a good second week against the Panthers, a division rival. And then in week 3, you put the beat down on those Buccaneers that you talked about. Mm-hmm. And then you had a rematch with C-Rob and the Panthers, and he catches you in the rematch.
Yes.
And then the road didn't get any easier because you had the Bears, which we all know KP the bus is running is a good user, and he caught you. And then you had Tight Work, the 2-time Super Bowl winner after that. But you put a beat down on Tight Work going into the bye week. I think that game against the Dolphins, you started to get some things clicking on offense that you've been struggling with the first half of the year. Did you start to see some things that maybe you didn't see the first couple weeks that you can build on going into the second half?
I think I settled down a little bit. I'm having a lot of turnover issues with Winston. Settling down a little bit. I actually went back and watched some tape, and it looks like I was forcing a lot of things. I don't know if you've seen the end of that Bears game. Did you see the end of that Bears game?
I did.
I think he had 22 seconds left. They overturned a call, and then I had a user lurk right in front of me, and for some reason I got sucked into the wind, and he got a touchdown. Yeah. And then I bounced back versus the Dolphins. Now, in my opinion, this is just Matty talking. I feel like them two users are a byproduct of. I see a lot of people in the chat saying ratings don't matter. Ratings don't matter, which I totally don't agree with. I think ratings do matter. I had a game plan going in against the Dolphins that once I seen his quarterback, I had a feeling that he knows I'm not a dumb user. I had a feeling he was going to try to pound the ball a little bit. So I made some adjustments and I shut down that run game early, and then it was curtains from there. I think I know he's a 2-time champion in the Dynasty. I know he is. Yeah. Okay, I know he is. I think he's a little overrated. This is my opinion.
Ooh.
Now, I think if he was over here in the NFC, and I'm not taking nothing away from y'all, because as soon as you got your groove going, you notice I think he made it last year. I don't think Hot Tub's team is way better than it was the first 2 seasons. Okay, he's a 99 across the board everywhere. It's unbelievable. I think he's just a little overrated. The Bears, I think he's overrated. This is just my opinion. Now, yes, he did just beat me. I beat him twice last year. Once in the playoffs and once during the regular season. Both good games, but he has their scheme. They both have the same scheme. I know they had a lab together. They both run that wide 4-3. They got 4 defensive tackles, 5 linebackers. They like the front 7 heavy, so that's,
Matty Ice on a bye week, shooting bullets off. I like to hear it. All right, man, let's get back to the Saints, and let's talk offensive side of the football. You talked a little bit about Jameis Winston, 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions going into the bye week. Not that bad. I mean, we see a lot worse quarterbacks in the Dynasty. But let's talk that guy, Miles Hageman. This guy here, he's got 19 catches. He does only have 3 touchdowns. Maybe you got to get him in the end zone a little bit more. But he's got 5 drops, too. Is that kind of just a product that this is a young guy, you're still working on him? Well, he doesn't quite understand how to hold on to the ball every single time.
Well, he's a little guy, so we try not to throw it in traffic much with him. But he was also sat. He had a violation, so he had to sit him for 2 games. We had to sit him for 2 games. So I think that also kind of messed my offense up early on. Is when I didn't have him in the lineup. I had to make a couple adjustments and trying some things out. I have a 4th round pick. I tried to start Jason Watts. He has a couple touchdowns. So.
Yeah, and then your running game this year has really picked up for you. You're ranked 3rd in the Dynasty right now, averaging 173 yards a game. What has caused this running game to finally start to take over, where maybe that wasn't your strong suit last year?
Yeah. You know, I'm not a big I wasn't really big on the run. I'm trying to adjust to it. Winston, man, once some turnovers will really get to you. So I know a lot of these users, once they start turning the ball over, they'll go back to doing the same thing. So I tried to switch it up a little bit. I think I started that versus the Panthers in one of the games, and it worked out well, and I just stayed with it, man. I went with what worked.
All right, let's talk defense, because that's where you're struggling this year. You're giving up 23 points a game. That's middle of the pack in the Dynasty. But you're giving up a ton of yards, 322 plus yards, which ranks you 27th in the bottom half, and you can't stop the run right now. What needs to change on this defensive side of the ball to get some stops to put that potent offense that you have back on the field?
I think I need to go back to the basics. I used to run a nice 4-3, and I tried to switch it up to a little bit of a 5-2 and a 4-6, and sometimes some 3-4 in there. I'm getting beat on blitzes a lot. People were starting to pick them up in the middle of the field. I went back, like I said, I watched some tape. The Bears beat me with in the middle of the field, with a couple big plays. So we'll switch it up. We got a long road ahead. So hopefully we can turn some things around on the defensive side of the ball. I've always struggled with numbers on the defensive side of the ball, but I was always able to create turnovers. I have to be up there in turnovers, either user lurks or some fumbles. So
yeah, and you're in the positive in turnovers, but you're still giving up a ton of yards. But you're right. Got to fix a couple things on the defense. Defense is going to win you championships in the Dynasty.
Yes.
You know that.
Yeah. All right, we have some picks this year. We have some picks, so.
Yeah, you definitely got some stuff ready for this draft. But let's talk schedule going into this back half. It looks, if you look at it, it looks favorable for the Saints. But like you said in the Dynasty, any given Sunday, any given day, you can lose. So let's talk. You got the Redskins, the new Redskin owner, Mr. Kripp, new to the Dynasty, and really balling out. But he's going to get a test because he's got to come to New Orleans right after bye week. What you got planned for the new guy?
The new guy might be listening, but we got a game plan going on. Well, it's new blood, man. I was looking into the schedule. I thought it was going to be another user, which I knew I had his number, so we know how he plays. So this is going to be a test for me to really see what I can adapt to someone who really doesn't know my go-to plays, because if I'm playing anybody else in the Dynasty, they know a couple of my plays, what I love to run. So it's like when you're doing that, you're like, oh, I know he knows it's coming. We both know it's coming. It's just am I going to execute? So now I get to test and see how he adapts, and then how am I going to adapt to that? You understand what I'm saying?
I hear you.
You laughing because you know me. That's my man.
All right, man. Then you get the co-commish, your best buddy, Mr. SJ, got to come to New Orleans, and then you get another buddy of yours, LP, and then you got KP and the Eagles. So really coming out the gate, 4 games that you got to be ultra focused on if you're going to make the playoffs in the Dynasty.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you feel like if you get some things rolling that you can go catch Lord Farquaad and those Bucks?
Well, I think Lord has a tough schedule coming up also, so I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to ask for some help. He's balling, bro. He got a nice little offensive line. I watched a couple of his games. He's executing. But I got to focus on my schedule. I got some tough users coming up, and we ain't going to watch 4 o'clock no more. We're going to watch the Saints.
All right. Is there a game on this schedule that you got circled that you're looking forward to? You got the Falcons a couple times. You got the Bucks. You got the Jets still. You got Flair and the Giants coming. You got Andy Force and the 49ers. Is there one game that you look at and you're like, I gotta win that matchup?
We gotta win them all, but one game that I think it's gonna come down to the way that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing is probably that one. I think
week
that's
14.
game. Is that in
week
Tampa?
14. It's in Tampa. Tampa, week 14. Yep.
That's a game. I know he wants revenge. I think we won like 68-14 or something. So
62-16. Yeah, you put it on him. You put it on him in week 3. He's not gonna forget that because he's balling right now. So week 14, that's gonna be the one to watch out for. That needs to be game of the week. We may even try and live commentate that game. That's gonna be a huge one for the NFC playoff positioning. All right, Maddie, what do you got for the Dynasty before you get out of here?
Man, with all the turmoil that's been going on, man, I was reflecting one day, and last year in Madden 17 was a lot more, you know, we were together a lot more. I remember we had a family day. It was just a lot more love. I think we just need to settle down, get back to Madden, and get back to grinding, and get back to pushing the Dynasty to where we were trying to go. I want people to be more active on our videos, and especially on Twitter. We get it more active on Twitter and start atting the right people, they're going to get our attention. Not just the same old 5 people, but if we get the whole league retweeting and atting people, man, and just stick together, you know what I mean? And just get back to focus.
No doubt. It's all love in the Dynasty family. I like that Matty Ice brought that up. We did have Family Day last year in 17. We need to bring Family Day back. Brag about your family in the chat. Post a couple pictures. Talk about what's going on in your personal life. I like that. All right, Matty Ice. Always a pleasure when you and I get to do a show together. Matter of fact, Matty Ice, we got a show coming up.
Yes, sir.
Next week.
Yeah.
The Gridiron. We gonna talk rookies coming in the draft. Y'all guys don't want to miss this. Me and my homie Matty Ice about to break them down. I believe the homie Tone Dog is jumping on that show with us. I know back behind the scenes, Dion, Tight Work, all the guys working on the slides, getting the film ready.
No doubt.
That's going to be a big show. Y'all be on the lookout for that. But, Matty, I appreciate you jumping on the bye week with me.
No doubt, brother.
All right, guys. We're going to move on to the other team we got in on the slate. And it's my homie Tazarelli and those Los Angeles Rams. What's up, Taz?
What's going on, XPERT? How's it feeling?
Man, it is good. How are you doing?
I'm good, brother. Just trying to ball.
Let's talk about those Rams and how you balling. You're 3-3 going into the bye week, and you had some games that could have gone either way. You really have. You came out really flat versus the Bears. In week 1, just couldn't get anything going on offense. And then you almost gave away the game versus the Titans in week 2. You barely get that one out. And then you go to Jacksonville and play a great game on the offensive side of the ball, but just couldn't put enough points on the board. Has this first half of the year been frustrating for the Rams?
It's been a little frustrating, but it's been more of a learning process. I didn't make the draft, so tested that draft board out, and it did pretty good for me. Got my new franchise quarterback, and the first half of this season has just been pretty much focusing on trying to limit the turnovers and get some balance on my offense. The first few seasons, it's been one season, the run was everything for me. Then I tried to incorporate the pass game the next season, and the run just wasn't there. And then, it's just been back and forth. So, this season is trying to find that balance. It's going to be tough because coming into the bye week, I lost my starting center and my starting left tackle. So, moving around pieces on the offensive line is just, it's going to be real interesting.
All right, you talked about the rookie quarterback, Caleb Lockhart. Is he the future for the Rams?
He is most definitely the future for the Rams. You look at his stats, and it's nothing flashy, but, he's consistent. He's 6 TDs, 5 interceptions. 4 of those interceptions just came in one bad game against underrated and his Cardinals.
Yeah.
But, he's completing 60% of his passes. He has an 88.2 passer rating right now. It's just, like I said, moving around pieces on that offensive line, trying to keep him upright. He's taken 19 sacks. I don't want him getting injured. But at the same time, I do still have Deshaun Kaiser as my backup. So,
right.
2 similar quarterbacks, 2 similar, throwing styles and everything. I think my game is just coming out more balanced. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I'm actually learning how to play linebacker now. So I'm trying to catch up and be ready for, high stakes.
All right, let's talk that offensive side of the ball. You got Todd Gurley. He's 27 years old. He's still a monster in that backfield for you. Is there some thoughts that maybe we got to start looking for Todd's replacement as he starts getting up in age?
I actually have a couple young guys. Tyrone Bernardo is running in the second halfback spot, and he's playing real well. He's a second-year running back. Last year, when Gurley went down, he came in, and Procise just wasn't getting it done. So I switched him, and Bernardo, was putting up good stats, and then he went down towards the end of the season. So, hopefully I can keep both of them healthy and get a good rotation between the two of them, and just put some numbers up.
All right, let's talk wide receivers, because you got kind of that same situation at wide receiver. You got some old veterans in Sammy Watkins. You got Tavon Austin still producing for you. You got Robert Woods. You got Cooper Kupp. I mean, these are aging veterans that as you start looking to the next 4 or 5 seasons, we get ready for high stakes. Are you starting to look for replacements for those guys, or are they already on the roster?
I do have a couple young guys on the roster now, a couple rookies. I have Millie and Cosby, 2 rookies that were drafted that they haven't really started to put up any stats yet. I need to figure out how I'm going to use them in the lineup and give them more playing time. But I did get a little gem from SJ's practice squad, Ramon Lindsay, one of those what I call LFFs, little fast fuckers. So
SJ got plenty of those guys on his team.
Yeah. So
he got so many on his team. He got so many on his team, Taz. He got to hide some of them on the practice squad for the other guys. That's how many wide receivers that he got. That's crazy.
No doubt. And so I finally got one, and Ramon has come in, and he's making some noise. He's returning kicks and punts. He's already returned a kick return for a touchdown this season. But receiving wise, when he's playing in the slot, he has 5 receptions, 130 yards, and 2 touchdowns so far. And that's going to be big. So he's a guy that is possibly going to replace Tavon because he has the speed. Right. Doing some of the same things that Tavon has done for us. So.
All right, man, let's switch to this defensive side of the ball, because you got one of my favorite players plays on your defensive line, Mr. Aaron Donald. It seems like this guy has been around for 25 years in the NFL, and he's still producing for me. What are you doing with Aaron Donald that just continues to make him successful?
I just let Aaron be Aaron. The first season or two, I used him a lot myself, and let some of the other guys just run rampant. But, after that, everybody starts IDing the mic on him. So, I had to switch it around. But this year, coming into this season, I think my defensive front is probably the most balanced it's been this cycle. I got Aaron starting at D tackle, got Timmy Jernigan backing him up. Then I got young Samson Abukum on the left end, and I picked up Keon Adams from in a trade with KP, the Eagles, a couple seasons ago, and all those guys are putting up numbers right now, and I'm real happy with that. And I guess a lot of that goes to the fact that I'm finally learning how to play linebacker and just letting them do what they do.
Yeah. And how is that change? How is that transition from a guy that's really played predominantly on the defensive line, user and those guys, to stepping back to really you got to have a little bit more user skill to play at that linebacker position? Has that transition been hard? Because there's other guys that may be thinking about doing that, but they don't quite understand if they could. Has it been difficult?
I think this Madden is a little bit easier to do it. It's not all the glitchy stuff that goes along with it. It makes you think. It makes you, really go back into a football mindset and understand the game and how to read, the offense and watching the play develop and knowing where you're supposed to be in this position. So, it's not real difficult, but then again, I haven't gotten any of these user lurks yet or any of that fun stuff, but it's coming. It's coming. I figured I better start now. Yeah, it takes time. All right, let's talk schedule going into the second half. You come out and you get some home cooking right off the bat. You got 4 games at home to start the second half. You get the Seahawks, the Bucks, the Commish, and the Vikings, and then you get Andy Force in that rematch in Week 11. Are the Rams gonna start making some noise here in this second half? You got 4 straight home games. I hope so. Like I said, my defensive front, they're putting up numbers. As far as sacks go, just about all the starters have 4 or 5 sacks apiece. And I hope to continue that trend. The linebacking core, as long as they stay healthy, we should be doing all right, shutting down the run. And I'm just hoping, if we can shut down the run and put pressure on the quarterbacks, we can force turnovers.
Okay, you got a tough couple matchups in the second half. You got the rematch with the Cardinals. And it seems like underrated, and you were like back and forth. But then Week 13, you probably got your toughest matchup of the year. Those Houston Texans coming to town. What's the game plan when the Texans come to town?
Trying to get some free chickens so you can develop this game plan. No, from watching enough film on the Texans, we definitely have to stop the run. Once we stop the run, then, hopefully the DBs, can do their job and hang with those receivers. And just get pressure on the quarterback. But at the same time, we have to be ready because we know Deshaun Watson, he'll take the game in his hands. And if he's not slinging it, then he'll run it. And so, we just have to – everyone has to do their job. And I'm
going to have to change some things up. You watching Deshaun Watson too much. I'm going to have to change some things up in Houston. All right, Taz, what you got for the Dynasty before you get out of here?
Well, like Maddie said, this past weekend was a little rough for us. Let's just refocus, keep moving forward, enjoy the brotherhood that we do have. It is a brotherhood. Don't be afraid to use that word. Don't be afraid to, say you understand what that word means. Like, we do this because of the enjoyment. We are in the Dynasty because of the camaraderie and the brotherhood. We enjoy talking to each other. We enjoy, bagging on each other.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you know, we're there supporting each other. So, I mean, let's get back to, you know, what we've been doing, keep pushing forward, and just have fun.
No doubt. Always a pleasure when you jump on a show with me, Taz. Appreciate you taking time out your day to get on the bye week.
I appreciate it, man.
All right, guys, that was Taz, the owner of those Los Angeles Rams. And the bye week's not over. I got a special guest that just jumped on the show. He had to come on and talk about his team because his team is struggling, and he needs to let us know why. It's our Australian buddy with the Buffalo Bills, Mr. Hamilton. What's going on, sir?
Not much. What's going on, XPERT?
Hey, man. Listen, I just love you getting on the show just so I can hear your accent when you get on the show to talk to me. How is Buffalo doing? Because you're 0-6, Hamilton. What's going on?
Man. Offensively, it continues to be a struggle. I just can't figure it out. I got everyone I'm playing seems to be a top user, and I'm getting sacked or throwing picks left and right. Every time I throw a pick, it's a pick six. And then I'm ended up having to play catch up, and that is not a strength when you're averaging 16 points a game.
Yeah, let's talk about that. 16 points a game. Do you have your quarterback on your roster?
I do. He is injured. My top two receivers are injured. My running back's injured. So struggling to move the ball right now. But, I mean, even when those guys are healthy, offense has been an issue for me for about 3 years now.
Yeah, you're rushing at 100-plus yards a game, though. So your running game's still up there in the top half of the league.
It
but
is.
Your passing game is what's killing you right now.
Right, and that's generally how it's been. I mean, in the past, my rushing game has been lacking as well, but that was a focus this offseason. I figured if I'm throwing picks, I got to run the ball and limit my throws. But, I mean, I'm getting down so much that I'm having to throw late in games. So,
yeah,
got to find out what's something that works.
You've had some close games, though, here in the first half. You lose by 11 to the Dolphins. You only lose by 7 to the Bucs, a guy that's balling. You only lose by 6 to the Jets, another guy that's top in the AFC. So do you feel like you've had some games that you've had a chance to win? You just can't make enough plays on the offensive side?
Yeah, I definitely do. I'm kind of at that stage, though, where even if I'm leading in the fourth quarter, I'm waiting for the roof to cave in. And, you know, I played tight work and Nets and SJ a lot. They're in my division. So, you know, familiarity helps you play a closer game. Against the Bucs, he had a fake 4th and 12 that he completed. And it led to a touchdown. And then we were tied with a few seconds left, and he faked it and got a touchdown to win the game. So, you know, a few breaks like that, but that's how it goes.
All right, let's talk your defensive side of the ball, because as much as your offense is struggling, your defense is bottom of the bucket right now in the Dynasty, giving up 28 points a game. Now, you're giving up 100-plus yards rushing. You're giving up almost 200 passing yards a game. What is it about this defensive side of the ball that you haven't quite figured out in Madden 18? Because it's been so much different than 17.
So much different. In 17, I feel like I was a really good defensive user. I was often in the top 5 scoring defense, and made it tough for teams to score on me. But this edition, I'm not sure what it is. I'm whiffing on when guys are running past me. My guy's just not making the tackle. I'm out of position a lot. Guys are just getting burnt deep. You name it, we're doing it wrong. So to pinpoint one thing, I can't do.
It's a multitude of things. And one of the things when I watched one of your games earlier this year is just no pressure on the quarterback. What are some of these guys? Because you got some really good guys on your roster in Shaq Lawson. You got Bowser at the right end, who is a really good guy. You got Marcel Darius in the middle. I mean, you got some guys that have talent. What is it that's stopping you from getting to the quarterback with that front four?
I honestly don't know. I'm putting it down to a lack of knowledge on my part on what I should be doing to improve their play, but I don't know what adjustments I can make. My knowledge of American football is still growing, so it kind of puts me behind the 8 ball a little bit in adjustments and everything like that, but I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to improve my linebackers so I can blitz them a little more and get some pressure that way. And my goal right now is to get 2 elite defensive backs so they can hold up the back end of the field and buy time for my front 7 to get there.
No doubt. If you don't know, the homie Hamiltop is from Australia. And Hamiltop, we talked earlier, if this was a rugby game, you would have banners, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, it'd just be 7 banners with my name out there. You guys would be struggling right now. I'd be talking so much trash, too.
Check out, y'all be on the lookout for Dynasty Rugby. We're going to start that league up. Hamiltop's going to wreck shop against everybody in the Dynasty. All right, let's talk schedule as we come out of this bye week going into the second half, because we got to get some wins. We got to get some wins for the Buffalo Bills, and you start out with the Colts in T-Pain. Do you feel like that's a game, like if you're focused, that you can go ahead and take a W there?
Honestly, I feel like that every game, and it doesn't pan out. But Colts and I think we've only played once this cycle. We had a good game. He was missing Andrew Luck that game, and I ended up winning by a touchdown or 2. So it was a good game, but I know he's a good user, and he seems like he's starting to find his rhythm this edition. Yeah. So he's pretty dangerous. And then I face you, and then SJ.
Yeah, well, we just not gonna count that one.
Yeah.
And then you got SJ, but you've played SJ several times, and it's really, it feels like feast or famine when you play your division foes. You're either in the game or it's over from the start. But you've played some of your division guys really tough, tight work. The Jets owner, I need the Jets owner to change his name, because I will never call you what your name is in the chat on the show, because that's a violation. But you play the Jets tough. You play the Patriots. You get C-Rob. You get LP. You do have some tough games with King Vitamin. And then you got Matty Ice to finish the year out. But do you feel like there's a number that you can get to as far as wins where you feel comfortable going into this next season?
Right now, the number is 1. That's all I want. 1. If I get that, then I'll build on that. I don't know if it was last season or the one before, but I finished the season winning 5 out of 7. Thought I was starting to figure it out.
Right.
And then it just went downhill from there. So
yeah.
Somehow I always end up in the toughest division. I mean, last edition I had KP, I had Matty Ice, and I had Addy. Now this year I got Tight Work and, Jets and SJ. So
yeah.
I mean, man, I gotta end up in I gotta start following around Farquaad, because he always seems to end up in the easy division.
The homie Farquaad, he's got Matty Ice in that division,
right?
But he's got like LP. Yeah, I mean, some good guys, and they're not at the, Matty Ice is at the, the tight works.
He is,
and the
he's
Jets
good.
level. But you're right. You do have one of the toughest divisions. But you do have an opportunity, because this draft is so deep with defensive studs. Are you looking at some players right now that you feel, okay, we got to add this guy to the Buffalo Bills on the defensive side to make us successful?
There's a cornerback or 2 I'm looking at closely, but looking like I'll have a high pick. I don't want to give too much away right now, but definitely looking in the backfield. And I wouldn't mind getting younger on the D-line with Marcel Darius, pushing 32, and Shaq Lawson's coming up on 28. So come high stakes, those guys are going to be pushing a wheelchair around the field. Not much help for me.
Right. Do you ever look at, and you're one of those guys that hangs on to all your picks, very difficult to trade with. Do you ever look at some of these trades and think, man, I could give up this pick and acquire 2-3 players that could really help me out? Do you ever look at some of those?
I do. I'm starting to look at more player trades now, and that, people always rip a few guys for this when they trade picks to good users for developed players, and they don't understand the logic behind it, that players such as myself, I have a hard time developing players because I'm not a great user. So if I can trade a pick for an already developed player they've done the work for me, I got to pay the contract, but someone such as myself can't develop that player. So that's why, the trade may happen. But, as long as if Ness was on here making trades with me every year, I'd be good. I mean, 2 firsts and 2 seconds for my first. I'll take that every year.
Shout out to homie Ness. He wanted Boyle so bad, he gave up a ton to go get him. And now Farquaad's got to play with him. All right,
he's trying to trade him. Yeah.
Yeah, now he wants to get rid of him, which is just funny because you got some picks out of that deal. All right, Hamilton, what you got for the Dynasty before you get out of here?
Just keep the peace. Keep the peace. I mean, some people get upset pretty easy in here, it seems like, but don't let it get to you. I mean, let it roll off the back sometimes.
That's it. All right, Hamilton, man, I appreciate you taking time out your day and jumping on the bye week with your boy XPERT.
I appreciate all you do, man.
All right, man. All right, Dynasty. You heard it. You had 3 users come on here today and talked about brotherhood. Man, that's a great message for everyone. Not just for the Dynasty, but anybody in the CFM community. This is a brotherhood. Let's keep it like that. It's your boy XPERT. It's the bye week, and I'm out.